In 1983, just outside Rochester, New York, there stood an asylum that had been closed for decades. Locals whispered that inside its crumbling walls, the voices of the forgotten patients could still be heard. Some said that if you listened closely, you might hear the rattling of chains or blood-curdling screams echoing through the empty halls. The place was known only as the Hillside Asylum, and it carried with it a reputation so terrifying that even the bravest of souls avoided it. Now, three friends dared to test their luck. Their names were Daniel, Sarah, and Mark. They were all studying at a local college, but they were also big fans of the paranormal. One day, while exploring the town, they stumbled upon an old, dilapidated building. And when they realized it was the infamous Hillside Asylum, they couldn't resist the urge to investigate. They decided to spend one night inside and film any strange occurrences, thinking they might have some interesting footage for their final project. As darkness fell, they stepped into the asylum, each carrying a camcorder, their batteries fully charged and ready to capture anything out of the ordinary. The building was eerily silent. Dust motes danced in the fading light filtering through grimy windows, illuminating rows upon rows of rusted hospital beds, each seemingly whispering tales of pain and suffering. As they ventured deeper into the labyrinth of the building, the silence became their most unsettling companion. It wasn't the peaceful kind, but rather a heavy, oppressive quiet that seemed to amplify every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of wind through the broken panes. They explored abandoned laboratories filled with archaic medical equipment, their cold metal surfaces gleaming under their flashlights like ghostly teeth. In one room, they found an old wheelchair, its leather seat cracked and stained. Another room held a straitjacket hanging limply from a rusty hook, a stark reminder of the asylum's more brutal practices. And then, just as the clock tower chimed midnight, signaling the darkest hour, they heard it, a faint whisper that seemed to slither through the very walls of the asylum. "Why are you here?" The voice was raspy, like the sound of autumn leaves skittering across pavement, yet it sent chills down their spines. Sarah froze, her hand flying to her mouth. "Did you guys hear that?" She whispered, her voice barely audible above the pounding of her heart. Daniel and Mark exchanged nervous glances, their eyes wide in the dim light. The whisper had come from an old, tarnished mirror hanging crookedly on one of the walls. But when they turned to look, there was nothing behind the glass but a distorted reflection of themselves and the dusty room they stood in. "It must have been the wind," Mark finally said, his voice betraying a hint of fear. "Yeah, probably just the wind," Daniel added, though he, too, felt a knot of apprehension tightening in his stomach. They decided to keep moving, hoping to find a way out of the asylum before their cameras died and plunged them into total darkness. But then another sound pierced the eerie silence, a soft moan that seemed to emanate from the very walls themselves. The air grew heavy, as if the whispers had coalesced into a tangible presence closing in on them. Then leave. Or stay. Forever. This time the voice was clearer, more insistent, echoing through the vast emptiness of the corridor. Suddenly, the lights on their cameras flickered ominously, casting grotesque shadows that danced and twisted on the walls. Mark gasped, dropping his camcorder. They turned toward the sound, their hearts pounding in unison, and saw it, for a fleeting moment, the silhouette of a pale figure standing at the end of the hallway, its mouth moving soundlessly, forming words that the living could not hear. Daniel, unable to contain his fear any longer, cried out, "Who's there?" His voice echoed and answered through the cavernous space. Only the whispering voices seemed to respond, overlapping one another, men, women, even children. "We never left, we never left," they murmured, their voices growing louder, more insistent. Terror clawed at Sarah's throat, choking off her scream as the doors to the asylum rooms slammed shut one by one, sealing them deeper within the labyrinth. Each click of the doors reverberated through the silence like the tolling of a death knell. Trapped, they stumbled forward, the whispers guiding their every step. Then, out of the corner of her eye, Sarah saw it. A wheelchair rolling across the hallway on its own, its wheels squeaking against the floor. It moved with a purpose, stopping abruptly at the end of the hall, as if waiting for them. But when they reached it, the wheelchair was empty. Yet the feeling of dread it inspired was very real. Mark's flashlight flickered, casting dancing shadows on the wall as he spun around, desperately trying to find the source of the whispering voices. "This is crazy," he stammered, his voice shaking. "We need to get out of here." But the asylum seemed to twist and turn on itself, denying them a clear path to the exit. And as the whispers grew louder, they realized with dawning horror that they weren't alone in this game of hide-and-seek. A sudden gust of wind slammed the door open, revealing an empty room. The rocking chair beside the window swayed gently, despite the stillness of the air. And then they saw it again, the figure from before, but now it was clearer, more defined. A woman, her form translucent and wispy, drifted through the doorway. Her hair was long and matted, her eyes hollow sockets of white fire. She wore a torn hospital gown that revealed glimpses of skin that looked unnaturally aged, as if years had been stolen from her life in an instant. With a mournful cry, she disappeared into the shadows. The students, paralyzed with fear, didn't move. All they could do was watch the door through which the specter had vanished slowly close. The whispers intensified, morphing into a cacophony of overlapping voices that swirled around them, pressing in from all sides. Panic tightened its icy grip on their chests, making it hard to breathe. They needed to escape, to flee from the asylum before it claimed them as its own. But as they turned to go, a cold hand, bony and skeletal, clamped onto Sarah's shoulder. She screamed, wrenching herself away, but the touch lingered, icy and dreadful. She spun around, desperate to see who or what had brushed against her, but there was nothing there. Or perhaps there was, but it was hidden from view. Mark, his face drained of color, pointed to the corner of the room where a rocking chair had suddenly appeared. It wasn't the same one they had seen before. This one was smaller, intricately carved with the image of a bird in flight. But it rocked gently, invitingly, as if beckoning them closer. Then they heard it again, that haunting whisper, softer now, like a lullaby meant to lull them into a false sense of security. "Don't be afraid," it crooned. "Come with me. We'll play a little game." Daniel, his voice hoarse with terror, whispered back, "What game?" The answer came in a rush of cold air as the room temperature plummeted. A single word formed on their lips, "Forever." The asylum walls seemed to pulsate, their whispers growing louder, more urgent. They were running out of time. The camcorder wobbled in Mark's shaking hands as he focused on the rocking chair, trying to make sense of what they were seeing and hearing. The figure materialized before them once more, her form solidifying, becoming clearer with each passing moment. Her eyes burned with a cold, ethereal light, and a sad smile touched her chapped lips. She raised a finger to her lips and whispered, "SHHH, it's your turn now." And as if in response, the asylum walls rumbled. The camcorder fell from Mark's grasp, clattering to the floor. Its screen flashed one last time, capturing their final moments of life before the darkness consumed them. Weeks passed, then months, and still there was no sign of the missing students. Their families clung to hope, refusing to believe that their loved ones had truly vanished. But the truth was a grim echo in the empty rooms of the hillside asylum, a truth that the police were reluctant to reveal. One day, a local urban explorer ventured into the derelict. Asylum, armed with nothing but curiosity and a flashlight. What they discovered inside sent shockwaves through the community. The explorer found the three friends' equipment scattered on the floor. Their cameras still recording, showing the very last moments of their lives before they vanished within the asylum walls. The footage became a sensation, each frame scrutinized for clues, each second dissected for meaning. But the asylum held its secrets closed, offering no clear answers to what had happened to the students. Some believed the ghost of the woman in the torn gown had claimed them, taking them to join the whispering voices in the halls. Others whispered of a curse, an evil presence that had lain dormant for years, awakened by the intrusion of the living. The hillside asylum remained, a silent sentinel to the tragedy that had unfolded within its confines. It stood as a constant reminder of the thin veil that separates our world from the unknown, a chilling testament to the enduring power of the supernatural.